Oh, 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 that was unfortunate. Oh my goodness, what a thing that was. My friend Elizabeth described it as a hot mess, and I think that is the most apt description of this film that I can put forward. It is a hot frickin' mess. I'm hard pressed to think of a movie that fucking hates its audience as much as this movie does, and I don't mean in terms of, it being a predominantly African American minority centered film. I'm not saying it hates, white people or anything. That I'm saying it hates everybody. It hates its audience. It wants to fuck with its audience. And yeah, it really doesn't like anybody who's come to see it. Oh man alive, this was a chore to get through. I hate to say this, but the movie is probably not gonna be good when right before it they do one of these things. I haven't seen many of them, but there's this thing that some movies do at the beginning where they have like the director or a couple actors out front going, they do a little bumper at the front of the movie going, "Thank you for coming to see this movie. Yay you. We really appreciate you coming to see this movie." And every time I see that, that is not a good sign that the movie is going to be good. Because it's almost like they're apologizing ahead of time. "We are so sorry for this. We're sorry." This time it was the director going, "This was a passion project for me." I think he was trying to, derail negative criticism by telling us how much he loved the movie, because, God almighty, it was a slog. So, okay, you've probably seen trailers and whatnot for this, but just in case you haven't. So, Viola Davis is married to Liam Neeson, who is a thief, a bank robber. He's something. He's a thief, I guess is the best way to put it. And he's killed on a job where he was stealing money from a criminal who is now running for city alderman, which is a weird detail to put in there. Not that he's running for office, he's running for an alderman. What the fuck is an alderman? Anyway, so this guy now wants his money back and tells Viola Davis, "You got a month to get me my money." So Viola Davis goes and rounds up the other widows of the crew that her husband had on the job he was killed, and they all get together to pull the job. That's the long and short of it. Now, on the surface of it, it sounds like an interesting idea for a heist movie. And in many ways, it is an interesting idea for a heist movie. I can't say that going into it, I thought I was going to see like an Ocean's 11 or a Logan Lucky type of film. I thought it was going to be a little bit harder edge. I just didn't think it was going to be this, I don't know what the word is, dour, self-important, I don't know what the fuck this thing was. This has a lot of problems, and not the least of which is, like I say, there are absolutely, I was going to say zero, but there's one. There are absolutely no redeemable or interesting characters in this film save one. And it's not Viola Davis. Alright? Every fucking character in this movie is reprehensible, horrible, mean-spirited, ugly, to the point where, the whole point of a heist movie is you want to see the people pulling the heist succeed. it's not a good sign when I'm watching the movie and I'm like, I don't give a fuck if they succeed. I hope they get caught. You know, none of these characters are in any way good people or in any way, you know, relatable. Again, save one. Viola Davis, who is a phenomenal actor. No disrespect to her. She's a phenomenal actor. But she doesn't act in this. She pulls the same, you know, the stereotypical, pardon me, this is going to sound horrible, and I do apologize. You know, the stereotypical in-charge black woman. You know, she's just going to tell you what to do, and you're going to do it because she's tough and in charge, and, you know, there's no character to her. You know? Michelle Rodriguez is playing fucking Michelle Rodriguez. The same fucking character she plays in everything. I don't know at this point if Michelle Rodriguez is a good actor. Because she plays the same goddamn character in every fucking movie she's in. And even in this one, they don't even give her enough screen time to, you know, to develop anything. Where each of the characters is given like a sympathetic story, but none of them act sympathetically. Again, save one. You know, all of them seem aware that their husbands were criminals and don't seem to give a shit. You know? And they all turn to a life of crime like that, you know? Now, Viola Davis's character had a reason because the mobsters or drug dealers, whatever the fuck the villains are, which again, you don't really know, they threaten her specifically. They never threaten any of the other widows. We never see them go to any of them. Viola Davis tells them they're going to come after you, they're going to come after you, they're going to come after you. And these chicks just immediately go, well, time to turn to crime. Time to pull a job. You know? I swear to God, Anakin Skywalker took less time deciding he was going to slaughter younglings than these people took deciding they were going to become criminals. They need a driver. And the Michelle Rodriguez's babysitter who can run fast. That's the only thing we know about her character. She works at a salon and she can run fast. Michelle Rodriguez brings her in as the driver because running fast means you're a good driver. We don't, you know. And yeah, all the characters need money. They're like any other people whose spouse dies and the spouse was the primary, you know, breadwinner, male or female. So yeah, all the characters need money for various things. But like, I need fucking money. Okay? I don't know if you've noticed, I'm not exactly driving around in a Ferrari here. I need money. I don't go around and start fucking robbing people. That's not strong enough motivation. If you remember, that was my primary problem with Logan Lucky, is that there was really no primary motivation for these people to pull the job. Here, there's a reason for Viola Davis. There's not a reason for any other ones outside of they just need money. Okay? So yeah, so while that's going on, there's also a sub-story of Colin Farrell, who used to be a sex symbol, if you remember back far enough, is playing the other guy running for office, and he apparently took all these kickbacks and shit, so he's shady. The other guy is shady. There's a shady priest. Everybody is fucking shady, which is why I say this movie hates its audience. No one in this movie comes off as a good person. No race or anything comes off looking good. They're all thieves and scoundrels and backstabbers and assholes and, you know, poor Robert Duvall. Oh, man. Robert Duvall, one of our finest living actors, one of the finest that's still around. God bless him. And what character does he play? He plays your ranting, racist old uncle. You know, that's all he's in there to do is come in there, yell at Colin Farrell, and, you know, say a racial slur every couple of lines. You know, it's like there's no fucking character. There's no character for any of these people. Oh, and there is a super, you know, and the super duper secret plot twist. Oh, Liam Neeson's not really dead. Spoiler alert. Fuck you. You know, that, you know, it's so stupid. Oh my God. So the only bright spot of this movie, to me, from my eye, is I kept saying that all the characters, this, that, and all that, save one. And I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I stayed through the credits to see her name and could not pronounce it. Her name's Elizabeth Debicki, something to that effect, who plays one of the widows. She is the only one that has anything that I would remotely consider a sympathetic performance or a fucking character arc. She's the only person with any kind of character to her. So she's one of the widows. Her husband was an asshole and, like, beat her and all this shit. Apparently her mother beat her before him, and her mother, now that her husband is dead, convinces this young woman to become essentially a prostitute, and she does. But where this is a character arc is she starts to realize that she has power over people, that she doesn't have to just take it, she can use them for her means, you know, and that she is smart, and her character arc kind of comes to an end. Again, Viola Davis comes to her house, you know, it's like, I got nowhere else to go, and of course Elizabeth Dostoevsky or whatever brings her in. Okay, so then she brings her in, and Viola Davis then proceeds to lecture her about her life, you know, and about you need to have respect and close your legs and something like that, you know. And I forget the exact conversation, but it ends up Viola Davis smacks her, and she looks at her and smacks Viola Davis right back and says, no one is going to treat me like shit anymore. Not even you. And it was like, all right, character arc achieved. The character has grown. The character started in one place and they are at a different place from when they started. None of the other characters did that. None of the other characters changed or went through any kind of, you know, personal growth or anything. There was no character arc. There were no characters. So, yeah. Add to that the fact this movie, you know, I was, again, watching the credits and the editor's name came up, and I was like, the editor, can he be legally sued now? There was no fucking editing in this thing. This thing went on for fucking ever. You could have streamlined this whole thing, cut out a couple conspiracy and, you know, backstabbing and plot twist bullshit, and actually given us a streamlined heist movie, and it might have been interesting. But it's not. And again, the problem with it is this film is convinced that it is some complex character drama. You know, that Viola Davis is going through some kind of, you know, immense, you know, emotional arc, and she's fucking not. Again, Elizabeth Debicki is the only character that A, has a character, and B, has any kind of character arc. The rest of them don't. And they're not fun characters to be around. Again, comparing it to Logan Lucky a little bit, yeah, the plot was a little flimsy, and, you know, motivations were a little skewed, but you know what made the film interesting is the characters were fun to be around. You liked them. You wanted them to succeed. I didn't give a shit about these characters. I hated these characters. Hated every one of them. Except Elizabeth Hoositz. Actually, that's not true. I can never remember this guy's name, and I should learn it because he's been in a lot of stuff and he's always good. The guy from Get Out, Daniel, again, cannot remember how to pronounce his last name. He was in Get Out. He was in Black Panther. He was in a couple of other things recently. He's really good. And he's good in this. He plays the evil guy running for Alderman's, like henchman brother who goes out and kills people for him. And he is really good. Like, he is a very scary kind of villain, to the point where you're kind of like thinking, this guy should be in a Bond movie. This guy should be a Bond villain, because that's kind of how he was playing it. Very Bondish. And it worked for him, so he did a nice job. But again, the character was so out of place in this movie, it felt like he should be in a different film. So yeah, an exceedingly long runtime to spend more time with unappealing characters, none of whom we give a shit about, and none of whom we care if they succeed or not. Viola Davis treats the other widows like shit the whole time. It's an unpleasant film. Just very unpleasant. Like I said, it hates everybody. Every character, every nationality, every religion is an asshole in this. Oh, God. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. It had, like I say, it had one good performance, and that one performance was almost enough to save it, because I really liked this actress, and I really liked her performance. She did a lot with a look, or a gesture, the way she reacted to things. There was a good performance in there, though she is, I gotta say, she's one of the tallest and skinniest people I've ever seen in a movie. She towered over all the other women and the guys in this movie, and then they put her in heels. And she's like, it's like, damn, darling. Not that there's anything wrong with tall women. Tall women are very attractive, and she's a very attractive young woman. But it's just like, damn. But yeah, one good performance that I liked, and the rest of it is just, it's a hot mess. Elizabeth said it right. It's a hot mess. Final grade for Widows. I'm getting towards the end of the year. My patience is wearing thin. I used to let a lot of things slide on these grades, and I just can't do it anymore. This is a D minus. This is a D minus. It's not quite enough, because there's an interesting directorial hand at work. But like a lot of films I've seen this year, the director, while very interesting and frames things well and shoots things well, also does shit just out of nowhere. There's this long scene where Colin Farrell and I guess his political advisor go from one place to the other. They get in the car and they travel, having dialogue as they travel. Sounds fairly basic, right? No, the camera is outside the fucking car. You don't see them as they're talking. You're hearing their lines as if they're ADR'd, which they probably were. The car's driving through the neighborhood while they're talking. It's like, was the cameraman not allowed inside? It's like, why the fuck did you do that? Was it to show, these people driving through this neighborhood that they don't care about, and yet they're planning on running it? Was that it? Again, it was a thing of, look how brilliant I am directorially. But there is an interesting hand at work, so the film is not a complete wash, but it's not good or enjoyable in any fucking way. So yeah, D minus for this one. Alrighty. So, Thanksgiving break at the movies is wrapping up with this one. I honestly don't think I'm going to see one tomorrow. Just going to play it chill. Maybe. We'll see what happens. Next week, I'm going to need some stress relief, so we're going to go see some of these ones we didn't go see this week in preparation for Macca's. We're getting down to the last couple of these I'm going to do for the year, because in a couple weeks, my folks show up for the holidays, and then I don't go to the movies that often while my folks are here. So kind of counting down to the last couple of these before New Year's, and then the best and worst, and then we start the whole thing all over again. So yeah. Don't really have a clever wrap up here. Just gonna wrap it up and say, as always, Until next time, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.